I'm WFAA reporter and video journalist Kevin Reese. Over the past few years, I've produced a number of stories about DNA and those popular DNA test kits that can reveal clues to your heritage and your family history. However, not always a family history people hoped they would find. There are often surprises, sometimes very unwelcome surprises. That's what this series of stories is about, starting with the Texas women who decided there were so many startling discoveries being found that a support group needed to be next. In Greek mythology, her name was Pandora, and the box she opened unleashed all kinds of annoying troubles on the world. That's the way that story goes.
It's like an earthquake has cracked your foundation and you lose your footing.
But for Catherine St. Clair, it wasn't a story, it was a cardboard box, an Ancestry DNA test kit.
And it takes you a little while to figure out how to balance yourself again.
But this rocked your world.
Oh, God. You have no idea.
Because the DNA showed that she and her brother had different dads, that her father was not her biological father, someone else was, and that her parents had taken that secret to their graves. Your brother that you thought your entire life was your full brother.
Right. I'm number 5 of 5 children. This was number 2 of those 5 that had taken his test.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, my heart was pounding so hard, I didn't realize I was holding my breath.
Catherine was now what people who study DNA call an NPE, someone who got a result of not parent expected.
I'm still shocked. I am still shocked.
But what shocked her even more was discovering she wasn't alone.
I couldn't believe it. I don't even have any words to describe it.
Janelle Callahan was one of the first she found, a woman who always wondered why she was a foot taller than everybody else in her family.
The one in the end, or the one in the back row, I don't even know what it's like to stand in the front row of a photo.
A DNA kit unraveled her family secret too. Her dad wasn't her biological dad either.
I mean, my mother was 5'1". I would catch her just looking sideways at me. And I'd look at her and she'd just kind of shake herself out of it and smile. I said, "What are you staring at?" It was just a look of like, wow.
That she knew.
I'm positive. How could she not know? I mean, it just happens. I'm sure like it's happened to a lot of people.
That part of the story Janelle and Catherine have right. Because when Catherine started a Facebook support group, NPE Friends Fellowship from her home in Houston,
We hit 100 in the first week and my jaw dropped.
NPEs came out of the shadows by the thousands.
But our main group is almost 5,000. We're adding about 100 a week.
It's an unintended consequence of the DNA test kit industry that has become so common.
Every day of my life, I was told that I didn't look Jewish.
That authors like Dani Shapiro already have their own stories in print.
I felt like an alien. I felt like a unicorn. I felt like the only person in the entire world that this has ever happened to.
In her book, Inheritance, she tells how she found out her parents had trouble conceiving, went to a Philadelphia fertility clinic where the solution in the 1960s was to mix sperm so that the dad could believe he was the father. Long after her dad died, DNA proved he wasn't her biological dad at all.
If you think of how destabilizing it is to actually have your roots pulled out from under you, there actually is a feeling of the ground isn't steady.
But as these family secrets surface, new connections are also being made. Dani found and met her biological father. Janelle found her dad too. He dated Janelle's mother and got shipped off to war in Korea not knowing she was pregnant. So Janelle's mom quickly married someone else. So she knew she was pregnant and knew she should probably get married.
Yes, because it was 1961. Mm-hmm.
I have met some amazing people that I never would have met otherwise.
Catherine discovered that her biological father was someone her mom once worked with. Now she has new half-sisters who've welcomed her into their family.
We're getting to know each other, so there's a lot of good that can come out of these devastating situations. There are more people to love, and more people to love you.
But she also warns you, if you take a DNA test to find your ancestry, be prepared for the potential of unwelcome surprises.
It's going to take away these family secrets because you can't hide them anymore.
Secrets unraveled, one box, one strand of DNA at a time. In Houston, I'm Kevin Reese. The DNA story Catherine St. Clair told me was a doozy.
I'm still shocked. I am still shocked.
One of those home test kits delivered a bombshell. Her dad was not her biological dad. Somebody else was. But this rocked your world.
Oh, God. You have no idea.
She'd become an NPE, what biologists call a DNA test with a non-paternal event. She prefers to call it not parent expected.
As NPEs, it stings when people say nothing's changed. Everything's changed.
And in her creation of an online support group, she found there were thousands more across the world just like her, with strands of DNA and family secrets being unraveled, one test kit at a time.
Raise your head up. Okay.
Which took me to Irving to meet Susan Chambers, who told me she had a doozy of a DNA story to tell too. The mom who raised you told you this story?
When I was very young.
Yeah?
Probably so young I don't remember her telling me.
Yeah, you don't remember not knowing.
I do not remember not knowing ever. I've always known.
Her biological mom gave her up for adoption at birth. A nurse at the hospital adopted her and always told her where she came from.
She was very honest and open with me. That's probably why my story never bothered me.
A story about her biological parents and a story about a train. That it was 1966, her biological mom was traveling alone until a Marine on a 2-week leave from Vietnam strolled by and said hello.
The train ride was supposed to be a relaxing time for him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Clearly it was.
yes, I was conceived on a passenger train.
Just someone that he never heard from again.
Exactly. Strangers.
9 months later in Amarillo, given up for adoption immediately at birth, she never knew who that stranger, that mystery Marine, might be.
Just assumed I would never find him because I had no name or anything to go on other than I knew he was a passenger on a train in September of 1966.
Which takes us to one of those home DNA test kits again. One that told Susan she was closely related to a young man in Michigan. And in the flurry of emails they threw back and forth at each other, the man realized his grandfather had been a Marine in the Vietnam War. Could he be Susan Chambers' dad? Earlier this month, Susan traveled to Michigan. I dialed her up on Skype. Meet Bob Dakin, the Marine on the train.
As soon as she relayed the story to me about the train ride, I knew it was me. I met her birth mother in the club car drinking beer. And we shared 4 or 5 days together on the train.
What did he tell you? He had no knowledge of you. He didn't know you existed.
Exactly. He had no clue. I was a big surprise and something that he had to work through too.
It was a shocker. Don't kid yourself. I had a hard time dealing with it. Thinking about, all those years. Don't get me emotional now.
Emotional because, yes, there is regret that neither dad nor daughter knew about the other. But for them now, it's a DNA NPE story with a happy ending.
Well, I call her daughter.
Yeah.
And she calls me dad.
I do, yes.
Susan has her dad, has a new family, including 4 brothers and sisters.
We love each other.
Oh, we're very thankful. We couldn't ask for a better daughter.
Back in her office in Irving, Susan now has a picture of her father, the man whose eyes and nose and likeness she shares, in a frame that says, "When we have each other, we have everything."
That's true. Yes, 100%. Yeah, we just complete each other.
We're trying to make up for 53 years, so.
52.
52, I'm sorry. It's been a beautiful time, it really has. And I'm so thankful. God works in strange ways.
Yes, he does. But then again, so does DNA. In Irving, I'm Kevin Reese.
Look what she's doing with her hands.
It was apparently not the happiest of photo sessions for the little girl in the bonnet and the white lace dress. But then again, for Jackie Ozuna, happiness was sometimes hard to find.
I grew up with the last name Ozuna, and I really thought that my mother was Ozuna and my siblings were Ozuna.
But they weren't. Jackie was the only one in her family with that last name, and her mom would never explain why.
Don't ask me, you don't have a father. Always, you don't have a father, you don't have a father. She never wanted to talk, yet I never stopped asking.
Fast forward to her 18th birthday and a trip to Austin to get a copy of her birth certificate and to finally get answers on her own.
And I told my friends, I said, look, I have a father.
The dad's name on the birth certificate was Agapito Ozuna Jr., but where was he and why was his name a secret that Jackie's mom would never reveal?
That mission became even more intense to find him.
Fast forward another decade, it's 1998 now, and a private investigator has found Agapito Ozuna Jr. near Houston. Jackie wrote him a letter, and one day, the phone rang.
And his words to me were, "Jackie, this is your daddy." He apologized to me for not being in my life, and that meant so much.
Days later, there they were on the front cover of a Plano newspaper. They called the story "A Hug Worth Waiting For." Her parents had divorced when Jackie was very young, and Jackie's mom asked Agapito to stay out of her life, and so he did. But Jackie finally had him now.
It filled that hole that I had in my heart. I had my father, and for me, that was life. That was the missing piece.
The problem is that it was the wrong piece. Jackie's happy ending lasted just 12 years until the man she thought was her dad passed away, and until her daughter bought her a home DNA test kit to study her ancestry.
She found some secrets, opened up a can of worms.
Because Jackie Ozuna found out
That I wasn't Ozuna. I think I kept looking at it in disbelief.
her mom lied, but DNA could not. The man on the birth certificate, the man in that happy reunion, was not her dad at all.
I felt like I had no identity. I didn't even know who I was. It's almost like everything's been pulled from you, like you lived a lie. The person that you thought you were, or the last name that you thought you carried, was not really your name.
The search for her real name led to Caldwell, Idaho,
Well, this is my first cousin.
and a family
that
named Villanueva.
filled an entire restaurant with just the family.
But they only had one picture of her real biological dad. This one. Rogelio Villanueva died in 1992 not knowing he had a daughter who was looking for him.
But if I would have been told the truth by my mother, I could have been looking for my real father.
I've definitely felt guilty. I still feel guilty. I feel like all this is my fault.
But the good part of this story, and trust me, there is one, is that Jackie knows who she is now and has a family that has accepted her as one of their own.
You gave me the gift of family. They love you as much as they love me, and I thank you for this gift. And I never want you to feel guilty, Madison. I love it. I love that I have a family.
Yeah.
So let that go.
Jackie still doesn't have much of a relationship with her mom or answers for all the secrets that she still keeps. But she did find at least some of the happiness that that little girl was looking for.
I'm complete.
Complicated, but yes, complete. Thanks to DNA. In Plano, I'm Kevin Reese. As you watch these stories, however, some of them do have happy, if not at least happier endings than others. Finding out where you came from can be difficult, but sometimes there is a new family on the other side, ready and willing to claim you as their own. Show me a few things that are in it.
Yeah, give me an idea of who the players are. So this is the family program. You don't know the players without the program.
In the man cave of his Fort Worth home, Michael Bennett's pride in his military career is very much on display,
There's a lot of resemblance.
along with this picture of a 3-year-old boy in Japan about to start his new life in America.
My parents never hid the fact that I was adopted.
Adopted in the early 1950s, his biological parents, a Japanese woman and an American serviceman,
There are so many kids that pop up after conflicts, after wars, and I was one of those.
but his adoptive parents made sure he knew who his real mom was. Yoshiko Nakajima, alone with a mixed-race baby in an unaccepting country for that at the time.
She was a single mom and thought the best for me would be to be raised in America.
Fast forward some 60 years as only child Michael Bennett grows up in the U.S., joins the Army, becomes a Green Beret, and raises an American family of his own.
I've had a blessed life. I'm real happy with how things turned out for me.
But at the age of 68,
Come here.
he wanted to know more.
Now down, down.
He turned to 23andMe to figure out who he really was. No big surprise, he was half Japanese, half Anglo-European, but then the first message came.
We have a lot of DNA in common. I know all my family. I don't know who you are.
It was someone in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Is your mother's name Yoshiko Nakajima? And I was like, they have my mother's name. We know who your father is, and you have a huge family, and they all want to talk to you.
What did that do to you, honestly?
Oh, it really, really knocked me for a loop.
You're an only child,
Yeah,
or so you thought.
yeah, it really floored me.
And a few days later,
Robin and Nikki are the ones that put this book together.
he met Robin Reed,
Hey, Robin.
who turned his world
Hi, brother.
upside down.
I can't see the top of your face.
You know what it looks like? It looks just like yours.
His late father, their father, was a man named Dick Webster,
And this is him.
a man who told a sad story that he fell in love with a woman named Yoshiko, had a son, and begged to stay with them in Japan,
The Air Force said, "You've been here for 4, you're going back."
never to see them again.
He was a broken-hearted man over losing his family in Japan.
He remarried, started a family in Ohio, and tried to move on.
Don't you make me cry. That picture of that little boy stayed with me all these years. That head full of black hair and those beautiful dark eyes stayed with me all these years. And I wanted to know where my brother was.
Both of Michael's biological parents died before he could meet them, but after a 14-hour drive to Cincinnati, he found Robin and his 7 brothers and sisters standing on the curb waiting to greet him.
I don't know if they're all huggers, but they were that day, and I am not, but I was.
And they told him he looked more like their dad
So go figure.
than any of them did.
It was like looking at a ghost, and to be able to hug him, that's powerful.
We really wanted to find him.
I thank the Lord above that we got in touch before the end of our days. We picked you, Mike, and you picked us, and I thank you so much for that.
Thank you, brother. Love you.
I love you more.
Love you, man.
Good girl. Wait.
Not all DNA stories end like this.
Where's your ball?
But this one has a Fort Worth veteran talking and texting and hugging as often as he can.
It's opened up a whole new world for me of family.
He is one of us. He is a part of us. He belongs to us.
Thank you, sister. I get to be a big brother. I cherish that. I'm having a great time.
And I don't want to miss another moment.
The next moment, with plenty of hugs, is scheduled for Fort Worth in June.
And now we're 8.
Love you, Mike.
Love you, sweetie. Bye-bye.
Bye.
In Fort Worth, I'm Kevin Reese. Phil Ratliff will tell you he's had a good life, all 91 years of it, but there was...
it was bad.
That one bad day. When he needed to find his birth certificate, the filing cabinet was in his parents' house.
So that's where I had to look for the paper.
A paper that changed everything.
The wording was, and as if was born or something like that. So I'm old enough to realize that that was an adoption papers. So I did not realize that I was adopted until I say I was 21 years old.
His parents were not his biological parents, a secret they'd kept to themselves. And Phil decided to be just like them and buried that secret too.
I was, had lived a good life. They raised me good.
So he didn't tell them until years later that he knew.
So what would it do to me to bring it up about me being adopted?
But all these years later, his adult daughter
I always knew if I ever got a chance, I was going to find out.
decided it was a story that she had to know.
I was like, well, just who am I?
It's a complete void that was in my life, but no more.
Because the paper trail they found led to Amarillo
This is the letter that they sent.
and a Presbyterian orphanage,
This is what was really cool.
while another search took them to Moody, Texas, south of Waco,
I got a call from his daughter.
and a retired college professor named Paul Holder. So it wasn't talked about much.
No, the family did not talk about it. And I don't think anyone in the family
Knew the story of a woman named Sarah Marie McCamey. She was 18 years old, single, and pregnant. So her parents in 1928 sent her to Amarillo to live with an older sister, have the baby, give it away, then come back home so that no one in Moody, Texas would have to know. Baby McCamey was adopted by the farmers who became Phil Ratliff's parents. Sarah Marie McCamey died 2 weeks later, complications of childbirth. Although the Moody, Texas obituary that said she was stricken ill with fever made no mention of a baby boy.
This is the burial marker for my Aunt Sarah Marie McCamey.
She is buried at the Moody Cemetery, her secret until now buried with her.
God bless. I'm such a young age, and it's just one of those things that happens in this world.
Months ago, Phil Ratliff made the emotional journey to visit his mother's grave for the first time, and his new family gave him the last photo taken of his mother.
I just couldn't handle it.
He wept when he saw her face for the very first time.
I mean, I was so overjoyed that I could actually place my mom's picture in my hands.
A picture he now keeps on his bedroom dresser.
And I couldn't help it. I just I lost it. Because this is my mother.
A mom who had the same drooping left eye that he does.
That's the one feature that I've pointed out to everybody.
A mom he now talks to every morning.
Yeah, we have a little talk. I call her Mama.
So after 90 plus years, Phil Ratliff found out who he really is, believes he might know who his father was too. But with one picture, has found as much of a happy ending as he could.
Fortunate to pick up another cousin this late in life.
And found cousins wanting to honor his mother's memory too.
So she has proved a blessing even in death for me.
But a blessing most of all to a 91-year-old man who can finally see his mother's face.
I mean, I can't tell you how glad I am.
Then again, the tear in his left eye just did. In Moody, Texas, I'm Kevin Reese. It was a Monday morning. American Airlines Flight 115 from Honolulu.
You okay?
DFW Airport Gate D27.
Very emotional day.
Intensely emotional for Sheila Curvin, her cousin Irma Flemings, and their uncle, Ulysses Cherry.
A long time coming.
A long time for someone to come home. It was the late 1940s. His name was Arby Cherry, one of 16 Dallas brothers and sisters. But he wanted to see the world.
You know, our dad told us that we had an uncle that went off to war and never came home.
The Korean War. Arby Cherry was just 19 years old when he became just a story to the nieces he would never get to see.
I just always knew that he was missing in action, and that was really all the information that I had.
It just brings back old memory, man. You know, just hate.
Ulysses at 89 is the youngest and the only one left of those 16 brothers and sisters. Is today a good day or a difficult day?
Difficult day.
Difficult day.
Yeah. It brought back old memory.
Because for 70 years he never knew what happened to his big brother, until the Defense POW MIA accounting agency more closely looked at remains, repatriated to the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific in Hawaii, remains designated only as X13460. Burial records, witness accounts, and DNA would finally prove that Arby Cherry, a 19-year-old kid from Texas, died in a prisoner of war camp in Korea all those years ago.
You can just relive the thing yourself inside of you, knowing, oh my God, he actually went through something as horrific as that, you know, and that's really painful to even consider and think about.
A lot of pain, a lot of heartache for my uncle, but, you know, I'm just glad that he's still here to be able to know that his brother is finally coming home.
Their story is one they wanted to share because from the Korean War alone, more than 7,000 families are still waiting for the same difficult answer on this same difficult kind of day.
Whether I knew him or not, he was still family. That was my dad's brother. And to not know, you know, what happens to your family is kind of hard.
It's hard at times, you know. It just, I don't know.
So in these moments that happen dozens of times each year at DFW Airport, understand that there are families struggling with a mix of sadness, relief, and sometimes joy.
It was just beautiful, yeah, and my heart was just racing and so happy inside, but yet tears of joy, you know, that he made it home.
One more lost son, brother, and uncle found after a very long journey home. In Dallas, I'm Kevin Reese. In the life they've built for themselves in Forney, Mark and Sherry Elliott have had quite the adventure.
I went to live with my mom.
But not all of it an adventure.
It was a very dysfunctional home.
He remembers so fondly.
Extremely dysfunctional, and I leave it there.
Mark and his sister Shauna had different dads, but their mom would never really tell him.
Even last year,
who?
As my mom was on her deathbed, you know, I asked again, you know, Mom, are you sure? And she said, there is no one else it could be. But obviously my mom was still hiding something.
He can offer a smile a year after his mom's passing because of what happened next.
Begin your journey at Ancestry.com.
His wife bought him a DNA kit. They sent it in, then decided to take a small vacation.
We were literally between Houston and Galveston. I got a text.
Unusual names were showing up, ones he'd never heard before. But this one, Bewley, his older sister, somehow remembered.
Now, granted, this is the memory of a 4-year-old child. She said, but I vaguely remember a man named Arby Bewley dating Mom.
Text messages and emails zipped back and forth across the country, and within just a few days.
And we're sitting in the hotel room for our anniversary.
8:30 that night.
And my phone rings.
Yeah.
And he said, this is Arby Bewley. You know, I'm supposed to call you. And what do you want? And I said, hold on.
Who told them, yes, he had been in Hobbs, New Mexico 52 years ago, and yes, he did date a woman named Ginger.
And he goes, well, what does Ginger have to do with this? And I said, well, I'm her son, and I'm not going to pull any punches, but I believe that you are my dad. And at that point, the phone got extremely silent. It's happy, you know. He was, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. He said, I'm an old man, oh boy.
What Arby Bewley was able to say next was that he lived in Lufkin, 3 hours southeast of Forney. And he agreed to meet.
Knock, knock, Dad. How you doing?
But this is the Arby Bewley they found, living alone, on disability, in a 1-bedroom shack. Are you glad he found you?
How do I express that? It's probably the most wonderful thing that ever happened to me.
The same square chin, all that gray hair, and a paternity test proved Arby Bewley was his dad. So do you like this guy, Arby? Do you like him?
No, I don't. I love him. It's almost unbelievable. It's like a fantasy come true, really.
But now that Mark Elliott had found his dad, he simply couldn't leave him here.
And I had to work to get him out of that situation.
Which is why our next conversation was in the cab of a U-Haul truck.
Sometimes God gives you the ability to do something, and when he gives you the ability, what is your response? And if you put those two words together, you have responsibility.
Responsibility he wouldn't have to bear alone.
You know, how long did it take you to jump in and say, yeah, this is something we're going to help with?
About 30 seconds.
Because Brian Wilburn at Veterans Resource and Outreach Center of Rowlett learned that Arby was a Korean War veteran, and after a few phone calls, Home Depot donated thousands in construction materials. Veterans motorcycle groups and others donated their labor, and in a few months, a 1-room cabin took shape on Mark Elliott's 10 acres, back in Forney.
All right, you ready to go in?
Arby came home.
Here's your house. Welcome home, Dad.
On a Friday afternoon.
When I was totally without a family, I now have one, and it's such a blessing to know that you got some kind of a family. Had it not been for him calling me, I would have never known. I thank the Lord for bringing him into my life, and I'm very proud that he did.
That's something you want to do every day.
He served our country, and he deserves better than what he had.
There's a lot of really good people out there that want to give back to the veteran community. Thank you to them for a job well done.
When I say my prayer at night, my first thank you is for God for bringing me my son and his family.
And a family of strangers.
I agree.
Who banded together to bring him home.
Everything is awesome.
Now,
it's awesome.
In Forney, I'm Kevin Reese. There are 40,000 or so people in Hurst, Texas, 40,000 or so stories.
I always felt like an oddball.
Stephanie Meyer didn't know hers was one.
Never did I question.
That might prove difficult to tell.
Even though I felt different, I just thought I was a little bit weird.
A weird childhood with an awkward mix of good memories and bad. Until nearing her 44th birthday and a DNA test kit.
In a conversation with my mom, she told me my results might be surprising.
Ancestry DNA proved her mom right. Her dad was not her biological dad.
I mean, I was definitely in shock.
Someone else was.
That's when my brain completely fell to pieces. I broke. And
And maybe that's just me, maybe I'm extra fragile. But it completely undid me.
This was different. This was
250 miles away in Cypress, Texas.
Oh my God, my world crumbled.
Paulette Bethel's world was coming undone too.
That it took about 90 seconds for my world as I knew it to blow up.
She knew she was multicultural. Her home celebrates that fact. But the DNA test kit at age 66 proved half of her life had also been a lie.
Absolutely, for me, blew up my sense of who I thought I was. For months, I cried nonstop. You know, I had a story. This changed my story.
Both women were now in a club they didn't really care to be in. DNA NPE is what science calls them, DNA not parent expected. Paulette Bethel's dad.
I was still devastated.
Was also not her biological dad.
This is not just grief. This is trauma. This is identity trauma.
But when Paulette Googled this phrase, surely I cannot be the only person that's going through this, she found the NPE network, a support group in Texas, now some 16,000 strong.
This is me.
People with stories just like hers.
Oh my God, this is true.
She did find a new extended family. They've accepted her, but want their privacy respected. And Paulette's parents have passed. There are answers she will never get from her mom.
In this life, I won't know.
There is a happier connection. Back in Hearst.
Can you see me?
Hey, Pop. Yes, can you see me?
I can. You look beautiful.
Stephanie found Jim Parsons in Arizona, her biological dad. Did it take long to put two and two together?
Not for me.
After a relationship with Stephanie's mom all those years ago, he never knew Stephanie existed. Stephanie's mom kept that secret to herself.
I think that was an honorable, noble choice.
It felt like a blessing.
A blessing now that brought Stephanie a new family and new siblings who have welcomed her with open arms.
I always wanted a daughter. I couldn't be happier.
Even though it was really hard to discover, I would not pack Pandora's box back up.
But I want to know my story.
And even though the Pandora's box opened in Cypress, Texas, has not been as kind to Paulette.
I'm not who I thought I was.
She is also a trained trauma counselor and coach. She's now helping others get through days just like this.
When you were asking if I'm okay, my life finally makes sense.
A sense of self.
This was our first cruise together.
Slowly being pieced back together.
I'm just really thankful. I make a lot more sense now that I really know who I am.
And in an era of unexpected DNA surprises, that's all that any Paulette or Stephanie really wants to know.
Yes.
Okay, bye, Pop.
Bye.
In Hearst, Texas, I'm Kevin Reese. And at WFAA, we continue to search for stories just like these. So if you have a DNA journey you'd like to share, send us an email. Let us know about it. And like these other brave souls, maybe help someone else along the way. I'm Kevin Reese. Thanks for joining us.